Week 14 starts it. Welcome to the Dynasty Rewind breakdown of the Week 14 matchups. I'm your host, the Birdman, Chris Lemke. You can find me on Twitter at clemke007_FF. But tonight, some big matchups. I'm going to answer your questions as soon as I possibly can and run down the Week 14 matchups, all before the Detroit Lions hosting the Dallas Cowboys tonight in the Motor City. Big time game, basically a playoff game for both of these teams. And we've got some action. And Amon-Ra is in. Yes. Latest update. Thumbs up for Amon-Ra. Get him into your lineups. I am going down with the ship. He is in all my lineups that I own him, all my lineup leagues that I've got him. He is playing. The guy's a warrior. I don't want to be caught holding the bag, so to speak, if he has a big game and I put him on the bench. So, all right, we've got Euphoria asking a question here. Hey, how's it going? If you could start only two of these, who would you be picking? JJ, Amon-Ra, Courtland Sutton. Woo! Firstly, I could start all three if I start Henry, Harvey, and bench Jaylen Warren. Okay, so you could start all three of JJ, Amon-Ra, and Sutton, or sit one and start Jaylen Warren. Yes, I'm playing Henry and Harvey. Jaylen Warren, good matchup in Baltimore. I think that the Steelers are going to try and slam the ball down the Ravens' throat, but Sutton worries me a little at Las Vegas just because I think that they're going to be able to slam the ball down the Raiders' throat. So it's Sutton versus Jefferson. And I know I threw Jefferson up on the thumbnail and the theme. I did it with Lamar as well, but Lamar is a little banged up. Jefferson is not. But the theme here is play your studs. Not always. Not always. There's certain circumstances in shallower leagues here, but if it's JJ versus Courtland Sutton, like I'm starting Jefferson. I'm going down with the shit. If it was somebody a little better than Jefferson, better than Sutton, then maybe I'd consider benching him. And then you've got Jaylen Warren here. And, Kenny Gainwell's been taking a lot of action there. I'm going to sit Courtland Sutton. There you have it, Euphoria. Good luck to you. All right. Hopefully RJ Harvey bangs it out for you because I've got a couple of RJ Harvey lineup teams as well. All right. So there you go. Next question. Throw it up there. I will try to get to it as soon as possible. Like I said, for tonight, Cowboys at Lions in the Motor City. Amon-Ra is in, so get him in your lineups. You are welcome, Euphoria. Like I said, good luck tonight and the rest of this week and in the playoffs. Hopefully you are in already. If not, this is a huge week for tons of people. Either you're maybe positioning yourself. If your league has 2 buys, maybe you're in the second, third place battle there, or you're battling for the top seed. If your league has 7 seeds, then only the first seed gets the buy. Or you're at the bottom. You're in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th place range right now, and you're battling for that last playoff spot. This is a playoff week for you. So lots of important matchups, lots of important decisions this week. I will try to help you as best as I can. Let's get right to the games. First of all, I want to let you know that there are only 2 games with over-unders over 50 this week. That's tonight's matchup with a 54.5 over-under, and Cincinnati at Buffalo, another huge possibility for a great game environment there in Buffalo this weekend. Joey B versus Josh Allen. We're looking forward to that matchup. Then there's only 2 games that are at 47.5 or over. We've got Indy and Jacksonville. That one could get crazy. And the Rams visiting the Cardinals. Those are both at 47.5. Every other game this week is under 45 for an over-under. So not great game environments this week. There's 4 teams on bye: New England, Carolina, San Francisco, and the Giants. So lots of studs in those on those teams that are sitting for you this week in big games. We've got Drake May, Travion Henderson, even Steph Diggs, then Rico Dowdle, Ted McMillan, no go this week. And of course, Christian McCaffrey and Jackson Dart, they're all sitting on the bench, hoping that they get to play with you on your teams next week. So that said, let's get into the matchups. Talk about the good game environments that you want to get players in that are like fringe flex plays. Those good game environments are the good games to have the fringe flex players, because there's more likely to be a few more touchdowns scored in those games. And that way your flyer flex player actually has a better chance of getting into the end zone and getting into your lineup in a best ball league, or scoring more points for you in that last flex position. Now for Dallas at Detroit, as I said, 54.5 over under. Detroit is favored by just 3, but kind of because, well, a lot of people like to bet on the Cowboys, which hasn't been so bad this year. They're 6-5-1. Again, battling for a playoff position. Dak held it together early on in the season. Then Jerry went out and made some deals to help the defense out. Now the Cowboys don't look so bad, right? And meanwhile, the Lions are kind of reeling here. They've got a few injuries. Laporta's out for the year. Amon-Ra's got this ankle issue. We'll see how bad it is tonight. They say it's just a low ankle sprain. He wouldn't be out there if it was a high ankle sprain. So maybe it's not so bad. It's not like he played on Sunday. He did play on Thanksgiving again, so he has had a week to heal it up. For my shares of Amon-Ra, I was kind of hoping he would just sit tonight and be ready for the playoffs, but that's selfish of me thinking, because I didn't really absolutely need him to play on those teams. But for those of you who do need him, he would be in the lineup for me. I am not sitting Amon-Ra tonight. Lots of offense tonight, hopefully. I know it's a Thursday night game, and sometimes we don't get great offensive performances on Thursday night, but you've got to go with it. With the kind of games we've got this week, there's a possibility there's a lot of low scores this week. So Dallas, points scored, number 2 in the league. Detroit is number 3 in the league. Points against, Dallas is 31st in the league. Now, since they've made the trades, though, they've been a little bit better defensively. So that's not the whole season there, as 31st in the league. Detroit is right in the middle of the pack at 22.8 points given up per game. That seems about right for the Lions. They're sort of a Jekyll and Hyde defense. They like to take chances. They can get rolling there. They're going to have the crowd. So this should be a nice, fun, exciting environment tonight. I am stoked. Looking forward to this one. All right. Injuries. As I said, Amon-Ra, questionable with that ankle injury. He is in. Penei Sewell, also a big, big injury concern for the Lions. He was questionable with a shoulder. Sewell questionable with a shoulder. I'm going to say that right. Let me check it out if he is playing, because nobody's worried about Penei Sewell, but I am, because that matters for the running game and matters. You're starting Jahmyr Gibbs. It says here 4 hours ago he's expected to play. Okay, so, but is Montgomery a flex that you want to have in the lineup? Monty doesn't get quite as many touches as he used to. It's become the Jahmyr Gibbs show in Detroit. Monty, though, so Monty, it comes down to who you're battling to decide with. And so if you're battling with a decision with Monty, throw your questions down there. I'll let you know if I think Monty is a better option than whoever you have. All right. I'm starting Dak, Lamb, Pickens, Ferguson, and Javonte. Start all your Cowboys. You're not sitting any of them. Deeper leagues, Turpin is a flyer flex. As for the Lions, you're starting Goff, Gibbs, and JMO for sure. I'm saying Amon-Ra as well. Monte is a decent flex in this kind of game environment. Gibbs is going to have some breakaway runs probably. Bust one or two here. Monte will relieve him. I think that the Lions will definitely try and slam the ball down the Cowboys' throats. We know they have Kenyon Williams now on the defensive line. The Cowboys do. So we'll see. But I do think Monte will get some action, some decent action, looking 7 to 10 touches, maybe a goal line look here. So I don't mind playing Monte. Again, it depends who you're trying to decide between with Monte. As for Isaac Tesla and Tom Kennedy, I don't know now. Amon-Ra's playing. I'd have them on my bench. They were flyer flexes possibly for me. But with Amon-Ra in the lineup, you got to bet on him getting at least 7-ish targets, right? That doesn't leave a whole lot left for Tesla or Tom Kennedy. It's got to be a real deep format. I'm talking for you to throw Tesla in there. He looks like a good receiver, but the analytics show otherwise. And I know the guy's made a couple of highlight reel touchdown grabs, but just like I mentioned on the waiver show earlier this week, you don't get any more points for Treylon Burks' touchdown catch just because he caught it with one hand, right? Two-handed touchdown grabs are worth just as much as one-handed touchdown grabs. At least I'm not in any leagues where it's any different. So, yes, I'm kind of fading the hype on Tesla or Kennedy definitely for tonight. All right, let's move on to some of the other games because I know we're all ramped up for tonight's action and this big Week 14. I'll get going with New Orleans at Tampa. Tampa favored by 8.5 with only a 42.5 over under. Alvin Kamara is likely out. That means you can squeeze Devin Neal into your lineup if you want a volume play for one of your flexes, or maybe you had Travion Henderson or Christian McCaffrey and you got to get another running back into your lineup. Devin Neal is okay for me. This game could get ugly. It's a divisional matchup. The Saints are going to be up for it, right? They want to beat the Bucs. They want to beat the Panthers. They are our divisional rival. They get up for these types of games. It could get ugly, like 13-6, something like that. Who knows? If the Bucs play up to their potential, though, yes, they could blow them out. Still, Devin Neal, if he isn't getting the volume in rushing attempts, he should get some dump offs from Tyler Shook, so that will help him get you at least to maybe 10 points. All right. Mike Evans did return to practice this week. He's not playing, but they opened the 21-day practice window, so look forward to Mike Evans returning from his collarbone injury within the next couple weeks, which is awesome news for Emeka Egbuka because he lit it up earlier this year while Evans was playing. But then Evans went out and all the attention went on to Egbuka, and now while he's still getting the targets and his expected fantasy points are top 10 still, since Mike Evans' injury, he's only ranked 34th in average points per game. So Egbuka's struggled with the additional coverage to him. So, yes, I'd still start Egbuka this week. He's still going to get the targets. It's the Saints. I'm going to play Egbuka. Don't bench Egbuka. All right. Chris Olave, yes, you're starting him. Tyler Shook, Devin Neal, Devon Vele, who had a big week last week. Those are flyer flexes if you need them to play. Same with Taysom Hill. He gets some of the goal line looks inside the 10 for the Saints. So, again, this game environment, I don't know how many opportunities the Saints are going to get inside the 20, but, you know, it could happen. And then, so if you're needing a tight end flyer like Kittle, maybe you have as your starter and he's on bye now, then he's not a terrible play. Juwan Johnson, better play than Taysom Hill. I would be starting Juwan Johnson for sure. He's a back end one, say like a top 15-ish tight end. All right. Baker, Egbuka, and Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving was upgraded to healthy today. I think they just threw him on the list because, yes, that hip injury and shoulder injury, they're still there, but he's playing through it, and he looked totally fine last week. Elsewhere for the Bucks, Godwin, Tez Johnson, Cade Otton, all flyer flexes. I don't love any of them. And Sean Tucker and Rachaad White. If you saw last week, they both only got 2 touches. So with Bucky back, it is the Bucky show for Tampa. I guess if you're super desperate and hoping that Tampa blows them out, which I'm not betting on because it is the Saints, so you could throw them in, but I'm not recommending it necessarily. All right, next up, we've got Seattle at Atlanta, another one of the 8. Yes, we have 8 noon or 1 o'clock Eastern start times this week. Seattle favored by 7, 44.5 over under. This one is in the Dome in Atlanta, so it could get a little better. I like the offensive environment there. So, yes, now Atlanta is 25th against the run. However, in the last 3 games, they've only given up 86 yards per game. So I'm not super high on Kenny Walker this week. Seattle, on the other hand, second versus the run. So I kind of fade Tyler Algier as a flex. Maybe you've had to be squeezing him in there as a flex for you. He does get decent amount of rush attempts if Atlanta has a favorable game environment. This one, not sure of for Tyler Algier. Bijan, you're absolutely starting because even if he gets stuffed in the run game, he's getting plenty of volume in the passing game. Drake London, I'm leaning towards him not playing one more week. He's got that knee injury, the PCL. I would lean against playing him. All right. For reference with Kenny Walker, okay, because some of you have to start Kenny Walker, and I'm not saying he's a terrible play because Seattle should control this game, should win this game. They're favored by 7. So Kenny Walker should get plenty of attempts, but, we've got that guy, Zach Charbonnet, who is terrible, but steals those goal line looks. Anyway, for reference, I'm starting RJ Harvey and Travis Etienne over Kenny Walker in one of my important games. It's so important. It's actually in a 16-team league, and we have so many playoff teams that this is a playoff week for us in that league. So I am starting Travis Etienne over Kenny Walker, just for reference for you. Arian Shaw is back. Hey, Arian, how's it going? Hopefully things are going well for you. You're asking, should I start Bo Nix or Danny Dimes? Ooh, that is a good one. I'm going to lean Bo Nix. Yes, I'm going to lean Bo Nix there. I think that the Broncos versus the Raiders, yes, I love Harvey in this game just because of game flow and game script. Danny Dimes does not look good. And if any of you saw I saw the tweet last week heading into the Houston game where Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard, the backup quarterbacks for the Colts, were watching Danny Dimes take snaps and drop back and deliver. Danny Dimes could not drop back normally. Like, he was noticeably favoring that right leg it's a fractured fibula. So it must be a real small fracture because they didn't even list him on the report this week, but you can tell he's favoring it. Indy's offense is on the decline, and that's because teams are just shutting down Jonathan Taylor, and they're putting the game on Danny Dimes, and he has not delivered recently. Now, Jacksonville's pass defense is not awesome. It's bottom 10 in the league. So I'm not saying Danny Dimes sucks as an option this week, but I am going to lean Bo Nix here. And I know I said to sit Cortland Sutton to Euphoria. However, that's because there's Pat Bryant, there's Marvin Mims, there's tons of receiving options. Evan Ingram, RJ Harvey can catch passes. So, Bo Nix has plenty of options, and they could get out to the lead with a couple of Bo Nix touchdown passes there. So that's why I'm kind of leaning Bo Nix. It could be talked out of it because, again, that Indy Jacksonville game could get wild, but it also could be real ugly. I'm not really sure which way I'm leaning on that game, but yeah, start Bo Nix there. Arian, hopefully that one works out for you. Marcos, good morning, everyone. Hey, where are you asking from? But hey, wherever you are, Marcos, good morning. Drop Chimere DK or Trey Tucker for Devon Vele. Ooh. So Vele had a big week last week, but that's one of more of the, I'm leaning towards more of fool's gold for Germany. All right. Welcome, Marcos. Glad to have you in. Awesome. So Chimere DK or Trey Tucker for Vele. Okay. So DK and Trey Tucker are basically both the top wide receiving options on their teams right now, as ugly as that sounds. And Vele has to battle Chris Olave for targets. So because of that, I'm going to lean keeping DK or Tucker. I know Vele had a good week last week. I know he showed some promise while in Denver before getting traded to the Saints. I'm going to lean DK and Tucker, keep them. If you're trying to start one this week, I would lean Trey Tucker. There you go. So keep Tucker and DK. All right. Next up, we got the exciting one. Bengals visiting the Buffalo Bills. Bills favored by 5.5, 53.5 over under. T. Higgins still questionable coming off of that concussion that he had 2 weeks ago. I think he will play this week. If he plays, he is in my lineup. If he's out, then Yoshi Voss and Mike Gesicki become plays as flyer flexes. Gesicki I had to squeeze in my lineup regardless because Kittle was on bye for one of my teams, but Gesicki's shown at least last year that he got great volume with Higgins out. Now, I'm just playing Gesicki because I have to, basically, and I hope he gets into the end zone. If Higgins is in, I don't necessarily recommend Gesicki or Yoshi Voss. This kind of game environment, though, you want to be starting whoever you are borderline on. You're obviously starting Burrow, Chase Brown, and Jamar Chase. For the Bills, you're starting Josh Allen and James Cook. And I would say Khalil Shakir. Key here, Dalton Kincaid is questionable with a knee and hammy. The Bengals are worst in the league against the tight ends, not only in yards, but touchdowns as well. So Dalton Kincaid, a huge play. If he is healthy, he is in my lineups. Otherwise, you've got Ty Johnson, Ray Davis, flyer flexes, Keon Coleman as well for the Bills. It's really hard to say who else. I know that at least one of these other guys is probably going to get in the end zone. Couldn't tell you which one. You want to roll the dice, go for it. Again, this is one of the top 2 game environments for the week. So I don't hate starting Ty Johnson, Ray Davis, or Keon Coleman at all if you need to. All right. Next up, we've got Tennessee at Cleveland. Gross. Cleveland favored by 4, 33.5 over under. Big news, Deshaun Watson practice window opened today for the Cleveland Browns. I don't know what that means for Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if Deshaun Watson is going to play this year. I actually scooped him up in a couple of leagues, deep leagues. Hey, if I can get a 3rd or 4th form in Dynasty, fine by me. Only player in this one, Tennessee at Cleveland, that I want to be starting is Quinshon Judkins. I'd be sitting everybody else. If you're debating between somebody else like DK or Pollard or Spears, even Cam Ward, or any of the Cleveland Browns receivers, just try and keep them out of your lineups. It's not going to be an awesome game for big points going, big yardage totals. No. All right. Cleveland's going to run the ball as much as they possibly can. They don't want to have Shedeur Sanders slinging it 40 times. So I don't see big performances. If you got to start Fannin or Njoku, I understand. Yes, they are like top 15-ish tight ends. Like, I'd be starting either of them over Mike Gesicki. Okay. Don't think that just because of game environment, I'm not going to start them at all. But I'm just saying, if you've got better options in a better game environment, like Brenton Strange, right? I would start Brenton Strange over either of those two, for instance. Okay. Next up, let's get off of that game. Next up, we've got Washington at Minnesota. Vikings somehow favored by 2, 42 over under. The trending is that that JJ McCarthy, 9, is going to play this week. Thank God we don't have to see Max Brosner again. Jaden Daniels, though, practice window is open. I don't know that they had to open. They never put him on IR. However, he's just throwing the ball. He's not in contact drills at all. So I don't think he's going to play. I think we're going to see Mariota again, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't mind starting Mariota in this game. This game I could see getting a little wild. Okay. Mariota and the Commanders put up some points last week on Sunday night against the Broncos defense, which is a pretty good defense. Much better defense than the Vikings. Okay. Vikings defense is a yo-yo, up and down every week. We don't know what Brian Flores is going to dial up on the blitzes. They play super aggressive. They're going to play super aggressive this week. Yeah. Marcos had to start Max Brosner last week, and very surprisingly, I didn't win that matchup. Shocking. We don't have to see Max Brosner. Hopefully, the Max Brosner era is over in Minnesota. We'll see what JJ McCarthy can do. This is sort of a 5-game audition to see if he's the starting quarterback next year. I could see the Vikings bringing in Mac Jones. I could see them going after, who knows? I don't think they're going after Kyler. That just doesn't seem like a good fit. But that said, I don't think they're going to draft somebody to try and draft and develop over McCarthy. But if he's terrible, like, you could be seeing a Josh Rosen type situation here where they just get rid of him and start over. But I think they would go the route of a veteran QB. Jacoby Brissett is signed with the Cardinals for 1 more year, so I don't think they could get him. But yeah, Mac Jones seems like a likely option. Danny Dimes also has been mentioned, but got to think that Indy re-signs him. Anyway, back to this matchup. Aaron Jones also questionable with a shoulder injury. He's probably going to be a game-time decision. I would start Mariota if you've got to. The running backs here, all kind of iffy. You got Jordan Mason. He's a volume play, especially if, Aaron Jones is out, then he becomes a super volume play. Chris Rodriguez, not a bad option. I've got him plugged in one league. Bill, I don't know. JCM not doing a whole lot, so I would probably super fade him. Jefferson due for a bounce back, obviously. I could see the Vikings trying to manufacture this guy some touches. You do not want to sit Justin Jefferson in a week that he bounces back. Like, what if McCarthy does do decent and Jefferson gets 75 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? And you needed a win, right? You're going to crush yourself. That's just not the way you go down, all right? Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, I don't mind fading them, though. On the Commanders side, Terry McLaurin, Debo, I'd lean more towards Debo over McLaurin if you've got that decision. I don't know. Debo, I'm a little more in on Debo than McLaurin. Zach Ertz, 10 catches for 100 yards last week. Mariota seems to have finally found his safety blanket. Good news for Ertz. So, yeah, I'd fire up Ertz if you have him. Next up, we've got Miami and the Dolphins visiting the New York Jets. Miami favored by 3 with a 41.5 over under. Miami somehow on a 3-game win streak. Yes, they are winning ball games. And Mike McDaniel seems to have saved his job. They would have canned him already if they were getting rid of him. I think the Dolphins realize that they have other issues going on. They got rid of their GM. So they're going to go that route. McDaniel's a smart guy. I don't care much for him, but he would get a job like right away because he knows how to dial up plays. Okay. And him and Tua seem to have a good connection. It's just the fact that, like, I don't know, their O-line is not great and they've tried to make it better. It hasn't quite worked, but they could build on this next year. They're 5-7. They're actually technically still alive for the playoffs. I don't know that that's going to happen, but never say never, right? You're starting Achane for sure, starting Jalen Waddle here. Decent game environment. I know it's only 41.5 over under. These teams know that each other pretty well. You're going to start Breece Hall for the Jets. Garrett Wilson's still out. I don't know if he's going to play any more this season. So, again, another audition week for A.D. Mitchell, who was the only receiver to go over 100 yards last week, and John Mechie, who seems like a good slot receiver, possession type receiver. He could have a good role as the slot guy. When Garrett Wilson does come back for sure for next year, I could see them having Garrett Wilson, A.D. Mitchell, and John Mechie as their 1, 2, 3. That seems like a good fit. If they can keep them all together, Mechie, they'd have to re-sign. I think A.D. Mitchell, yes, still under his rookie deal. Tyrod Taylor, don't hate it if you got to play him. He's obviously been throwing the ball a lot more than Justin Fields did, and he's got some wheels, so he could sneak into the end zone on a rushing touchdown. Tua as well. They're both in kind of the same similar boat here. They could have decent games. I don't know. I don't love the Jets defense right now. So, yeah, Miami's on a roll. Tua's healthy. I can see playing them. All right. Next up, let's move down the coast to Jacksonville, where we've got Indy and the Jaguars taking on each other for sole possession of the AFC South. Indy favored by 1.5 with a 47.5 over under. Sneaky game environment here. Can Indy get JT going? That is the big question here. I think that Jacksonville's offense, fantasy-wise, is going to produce either way. You're going to see them try to run the ball, try to get Etienne and Tootin in the game right out the gate. I like both of them to get 10-plus touches. Again, I've got Etienne in one of my big leagues, so I'm hoping he gets 15-plus, goes for 75-plus rushing yards and a touchdown and a few catches. I can totally see that for Etienne. Jonathan Taylor, though, we'll see. We'll see if they can. The Jags are a better run defense than pass defense, so that's where it gets tricky for Taylor and Danny Dimes. So keep that in mind when you're looking if you want to start some of those Colts. As for the Jags, Parker Washington likely out this week. So, yes, I would play Jacoby Myers and or Brian Thomas if you have them. Start Brenton Strange as well. Trevor Lawrence, I'd get him in the lineup. I think this is a good game environment for him. Next up, Pittsburgh at Baltimore. I want to get through these games before the big matchup tonight. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. Baltimore favored by 5.5, 42.5 over under. This is also a sneaky game environment, but another divisional matchup. Both of these offenses have sputtered lately, looking not so great, but this is one of those weeks where they could bust out. Lamar Jackson, are you sitting Lamar? I can't do it now. It depends. There's some certain matchups, like I have Jacoby Brissett, who's hot. I'm starting him over Lamar in one league. Okay. Most of my other leagues, though, Lamar is in there. Last 5 weeks, Lamar 34th. Yes, 34. There's only 32 teams. Lamar is 34th in points per game over the last 5 weeks. Decent game environment, though. Pittsburgh's defense has been really sloppy lately. So I think this one could get exciting. It should be a fun game. I know both offenses have looked terrible, but I don't mind it. I think this one could sneakily get exciting. Denver at Las Vegas. Denver favored by 7.5, 40.5 over under. Harvey, smash spot. Knicks and the wide receivers, though, kind of shaky because of that. Like I said, I did go Knicks over Danny Dimes earlier, so I think that they could jump out to the lead and then just hang on the second half. Genty and Bowers, you're both playing. They're going to see plenty of volume in a blowout here. Chicago at Green Bay, big matchup in the NFC North. The old-time rivals. Packers favored by 6.5 with a 44.5 over under. Jaden Reed out. Golden still was limited today in practice. I don't know that he goes, so I love Christian Watson in this matchup. A.J. Brown had a good week last week against this Bears secondary. Bears have given up plenty of points. I know they've squeaked out a lot of close victories, and they could do it here this week to prove to everybody that they're for real. I don't know if I'm buying it. It comes down to the Chicago Bears offensive line. Can they put together another masterpiece performance like they did last week? If they do, the Bears can keep it close and pull this one out. I'd say fire up Watson, Love, and Jacobs, of course, for the Packers. As for the Bears, a little leery on their wide receivers, Adunze and DJ Moore. Start them if you have to. Loveland, same thing there. And their running backs, you're starting DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai if you have to. I don't know that he's doing it all again, but I don't hate Monangai at all this week as a start. Next up, we've got the Rams at the Cardinals. Rams favored by 8, 47.5 over under as well here as the Indy-Jacksonville game. Love this game environment. Adams is questionable with a hammy. Expect him to go. He practiced today. Now for the Cardinals, Marv and Trey Benson, probably, they're both questionable right now. I think they're both going to sit. Marv with a heel injury, Benson with a knee injury. I think that he's seemingly never going to come back from. I don't know if he will, but I think they're both going to sit. That means Michael Wilson plus again, and Bam Knight and Michael Carter become flyer flexes. Fire up Brissett, fire up all the Rams that you've got on your team. Sunday night football, we've got a good one. The Texans travel to the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs favored by 3.5, 41.5 over under. Kind of surprised this one could go over, I think. The Texans offense has been playing better as of late. They've been passing the ball better ever since Davis Mills took over. Now CJ Stroud seems like he can. Now Stroud, to be fair, was doing better in the first game or two before he got hurt. And I think it's partly due to the emergence of Jaden Higgins, the rookie. So now they not only have Nico and Dalton Schultz, but Jaden Higgins stepping it up. We'll see if Jalen Noel can step it up as well. And then they really have something there. Now, Woody Marks is questionable with an ankle injury. If he's out, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Nick Chubb can come in. I don't know how much. Put it this way. If they win this game, it's going to be because CJ Stroud has a good game. Like no turnovers, delivers 1 or 2 touchdown passes, and then either Woody Marks or Nick Chubb runs the ball efficiently. That's the recipe to beat the Chiefs. Get that D-line going after Mahomes, make him make mistakes. For the Chiefs, firing up pretty much everybody, even though they're going against the Texans, Mahomes, Rice, Kelsey, you're playing all of them. Xavier Worthy maybe questionable. I know he hasn't scored a whole lot all season. Honestly, if you look at the numbers, they're kind of surprising how bad he's been. But if you got to play him, you got to play him. Kareem Hunt would be the running back I would go with here. He seems to have kind of supplanted Pacheco as the guy that they trust the most. I'll put it that way. Inside the 5, it seems to be Hunt's game. All right. If Andy Reid isn't trying to dial up something goofy. All right. Monday Night Football. We've got a good one there too. Eagles visiting Hollywood to take on the Chargers. Eagles favored by 2.5 with a 41 over under. I like this one to get a little silly. So main thing here, Omarion Hampton still questionable. We don't know if he'll actually play this week. He was limited in practice. If he doesn't go, definitely play Kamani Vidal. I don't know how well the Chargers O-line that's all banged up can block the Eagles D-line. guess what I'm saying is I don't know they can perform as well as the Bears O-line did against the Eagles last week. Eagles offense, you're starting everybody. Hurts, Saquon, AJB, and Devonta Smith. Just play them all. Dallas Goedert, get them in there. I like this game to get a little crazy. Now, Justin Herbert does have that left wrist injury, but we saw Aaron Rodgers played with it. Herbert is like 50 years younger, so I think he'll be all right. Yeah. Now it comes down to the wide receivers, though, for the Chargers. Ladd, you can start. I'm fine with that. But Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, I don't know. I had to plug in Keenan Allen in one league, but that's a super deep league. He's like my fourth flex. So, yeah, I mean, we've got 4 teams on bye. If you need to play Keenan Allen or Quentin Johnston, go ahead. Again, they're a flyer for you on Monday night. I don't hate it. They could either get into the end zone and get you home. There we have it. Any more start-sit questions? Because I'm ready to hammer them out. We've got you out there. This is a big week, big week. You want any extra opinions? I'm here for it. Ready or not, throw them my way. I'll stay here for just a couple more minutes before the kickoff, which we should have in technically 4 minutes. Yes, 4 minutes away from kickoff. They'll probably push it off another minute or two, but I'm ready to help you out. Yes, Marcos, you should have started Mitch Trubisky last week over Brosmer. What was the most negative you saw? I saw -10 from Brosmer in one of my leagues. I don't know about the rest of you, but that was, I think, the worst performance I've seen. The poor kid didn't have a chance. I mean, that Seattle D-line was just in his mug all day long. Seattle's defense was up for it. Minnesota's O-line, super questionable, just wasn't ready. Max Brosmer, again, Brosmer era, hopefully done, thank God. But I don't know that J.J. McCarthy's going to do much better. Now, they are playing Washington this week, so hopefully McCarthy can bust out of his slump, and he can – I think that they just need to dial up a few short passes, hopefully. You know, they get T.J. Hawkinson going, and McCarthy dials back that ADOT. Like, he leads the league in average air yards per attempt, right? And that's part of the reason why his completion percentage is worst in the league. Now, will they do that? Are they able to? Does Washington realize this and force him to throw downfield all game? We'll see. I mean, Aaron Jones being banged up doesn't help because he's a good dump-off option. But Jordan Mason can catch the ball too. So I think the guys are there. I mean, Carson Wentz wasn't having this kind of problem throwing the ball. He wasn't awesome, but he wasn't this bad. Okay. Unfortunately, Carson Wentz is on IR and done for the season because he played through a torn rotator cuff, I think it was, or whatever, his AC joint. Nah, I think it was his rotator cuff he played through. Like, what a warrior. Anyway, doesn't matter now because he can't play anymore the rest of the season, and that really sucks for the Vikings wide receiver options. All right. Anybody have any other questions? Okay. I'm going to sit here and chill. We got 1 more minute, so throw them in there if you have to. Now, this is week 14. The games for Sunday, obviously, we still have a couple more days until those games. Go ahead, throw your questions down in the comment section below. I will get to them as soon as possible and answer your start-sit questions all weekend long before kickoff on noon. Then I'll have the Sunday night recap coming to you later Sunday night. I will recap and rewind on the Dynasty Rewind all of the games, action, get you ready for Monday Night Football. It'll be probably somewhere around halftime. Maybe I'll just wait till the end of the Sunday Night Football game. We'll see. But look forward to that Sunday night. that's all I've got. Check out the Patreon on the Dynasty Rewind. You can ask any questions you want in the chat there. We've got all sorts of rooms. Go check it out now. Become a subscriber and a rewinder. Thank you for joining us tonight. Enjoy the Dallas Cowboys at the Detroit Lions. For the Birdman and the Dynasty Rewind, I am out. Remember to never stop working.